Good morning, friends. This is Professor Harsha Jadhav, and I am going to deal with the subject Highway Engineering with 18 CV 56. Okay, so as far as the today's class is concerned, that is lecture number 27. I would like to discuss about bitumen and quality control tests on the bitumen. Okay, as far as the last class is concerned, in the last class we have gone through the quality control tests on the aggregate. So in that class we discussed on crushing value test, we discussed on shape test, we discussed on many of the other tests. So all the tests which were conducted on the aggregates were known as, and they are known as, quality control tests on the aggregates. So as far as the today's class is concerned, we will strictly focus on bitumen, the different types of bitumen. We'll focus on the cutback bitumen, we'll focus on the emulsion, and we'll focus on the different quality control tests which are going to conduct on the bitumen. So first concept is bitumen and tar. So what we will do here, we will differentiate between bitumen and tar. What do you mean by bitumen? We'll get to know, and we will define what do you mean by tar. Bitumen is a black product which is obtained from fractional distillation of crude oil. Okay, it is obtained from fractional distillation of crude oil, whereas tar, it is obtained as it is also a viscous material which was used in the construction of highways. It is obtained from destructive distillation of coal. Okay, one we obtained from fractional distillation of crude oil, other one is destructive distillation of coal. So now we will focus on the origin of bitumen. How we are going to get the bitumen, whether it is directly available or whether we are processing the bitumen in any other way and we are getting it as a residue, or we are getting it as a byproduct, or whether we are getting it as a main source product. So about this we will study. That comes under origin of the bitumen. See, in this origin of the bitumen, as bitumen has a property of adhesion in nature, so which can bind the materials, so it is used as one of the adhesive member or adhesive material in the construction of highways. It is also known as a binding material. As in the concrete, cement is known as a binding material. In the bituminous works, bitumen is one of the binding material. So friends, so before conducting the quality control test on the bitumen, what we will do, we will get to know the concept of bitumen, we will get to know the concept of tar, and what we will do, we will study on the origin of the bitumen. So when it is origin of the bitumen, see friends, I'll brief out about how this bitumen is obtained. So first step is, bitumen is obtained from the fractional distillation of the crude oil. So what do you mean by crude oil? Crude oil, it is a crude petroleum which is obtained from the petroleum oil well, which is obtained from the petroleum oil well. So what we are doing here in this process, from the petroleum oil well, the crude oil is extracted. Okay, this crude oil, what we are going to do, it is stored in the field storage tank. It is after extracting from the well, extracting from the well, what we are going to do, it is stored in the field storage, then it is transferred to the pumping station. So you just refer Karnajasto Veeraraghavan Highway Engineering book. Okay, so first the crude oil is obtained from the petroleum oil well, then it is transferred to the field storage. Okay, field storage, from the field storage it is transferred to the pumping well, from the pumping well it is transferred to the storage unit. Okay, it is transferred to the storage unit. From that storage unit it is transferred to the tube still. Tube still, it is transferred to segregate the heavier materials. It is transferred to the tube still. Okay, and from there heavy materials are removed. From there it is transferred to the condenser. From there it is transferred to the condenser, and this in this condenser, okay, the different lighter materials are processed and they are taken out. The first lighter material which is taken is, we are going to collect the petrol, diesel and kerosene. We are going to collect petrol, diesel and kerosene. All these three materials or the products are collected after doing condensation, and at the last some residue, thick residue will be remained. See, these three materials we are going to get through the help of condensation. A thick liquid, whatever it is remained, it is collected at the bottom here, thick liquid. So that thick liquid, it is known as bitumen. So how this bitumen is obtained? Bitumen is obtained with the fractional distillation of the crude oil. So what do you mean by fractional distillation? Fractional distillation is nothing but, in a tube well, under the higher temperature, this crude oil is treated. So because of providing the higher temperature, what happens? The volatile material from the crude oil, they are get evaporated without changing their chemical properties. They are collected separately. Without changing their chemical properties, they are collected separately, and at the last some heavier material is collected. That heavier material is known as bitumen. That heavier material is known as bitumen. So in this bitumen, we are having different types. If we are adding any volatile to the bitumen, if we are adding any volatile to this residue bitumen, then we are going to get different cutback bitumen. If we are adding any volatile means if you are adding kerosene, petrol, diesel to this bitumen to change its property and to reduce its viscosity value, then it is known as cutback bitumen, because we are adding some extra agent or extra material to this. That material should be always a volatile material. Okay, then the bitumen is called as cutback bitumen. Okay, then that bitumen is called as cutback bitumen. So in that cutback bitumen, we have slow curing cutback, medium curing cutback and rapid curing cutback. We are having slow curing cutback, we are having medium curing cutback, we are having rapid curing cutback. And excluding this cutback bitumen, we have emulsions. Emulsion means it is a liquid form of bitumen. Emulsions are known as liquid form of bitumen, and these are prepared with the help by adding some emulsifiers. So this emulsion bitumen, it is used for the repair works across the highways. These emulsions are used for the repair works across the highways. So this is about, friends, the manufacturing process of bitumen, and even we got to know what do you mean by cutback bitumen. So cutback bitumen, if you are adding any petrol, diesel or kerosene, these all three materials are known as volatile materials. If we are adding this to the natural bitumen, then that bitumen will be going to form some different source material. So that material is known as cutback bitumen. Why it is known as cutback bitumen? Yes, we are changing the viscosity property of that particular bitumen. We are changing the viscosity property of that particular bitumen. So only it is termed as cutback bitumen. We are changing some property of the bitumen, the source bitumen, so only it is known as cutback bitumen. So this is about the origin of the bitumen, and even we focused on what do you mean by cutback bitumen. Even we focused on what do you mean by emulsions. Emulsions are liquid state bitumens. They are used for the repair works. So now we will focus quickly on the difference between the bitumen and tar. So what do you mean by bitumen and what do you mean by tar? So note down clearly. First one, bitumen is found in black or brown in color. Tar is usually found in the brown color. Okay, bitumen is obtained from fractional distillation of crude oil. So it is already told, bitumen is obtained from fractional distillation of crude oil, whereas tar is obtained from destructive distillation of coal or wood. Million of years they are buried in the ground. With the help of destructive distillation, some liquid form is created. That liquid is nothing but tar. That liquid will be always a viscous liquid. Next one, bitumen is soluble in carbon disulfide and carbon tetrachloride. Tar is soluble in toluene. Okay, molecular weight range for road bitumen is 400 to 5000. Molecular weight range for road tar is 150 to 3000. Bitumen consists of large amount of aromatic hydrocarbon. Tar consists of large amount of oily matter with lower molecular weight. Bitumen show resistance to coating road aggregate and also does not retain in presence of water. Bitumen show resistance to coating road aggregate and also does not retain in presence of water. It has less affinity towards the water. Okay. Tar coats more easily and retain its better in presence of water. Free carbon contents is less, free carbon contents is more. It shows more resistance to weathering action. It shows less resistance to the weathering action. It is more resistive to the weathering action. Less temperature susceptibility, more temperature susceptibility. So these are few of the difference between bitumen and the tar. So if I brief out this concept, then I can directly tell that bitumen is far better than that of tar, because it has more resistance to the environmental effects. Bitumen, it has more resistance to the environmental effects rather than that of tar, as it is the both the bitumen and tar are used for the top surface and they are maximum exposed to the nature. It should have maximum resistance to the environmental effects. Out of this bitumen and tar, bitumen has maximum resistance to the environmental effects. So only bitumen is considered as the ideal one. Okay. And the availability of bitumen is better than that of tar. Availability of bitumen is better than that of tar. But nowadays, the bitumen itself is used for the construction of roadworks. Earlier days, they were called as the tar roads. Tar is different, bitumen is different. Now it is bitumen roads. Okay. See, here also we can see. So here we are having the concept bitumen. The source of bitumen is either formed from petroleum or by natural process as a result of geological forces. Different forms of bitumen. We are having cutback bitumen. We are having bitumen emulsion. Okay, these are the two types of different forms of bitumen. So again, I'll repeat. What do you mean by cutback bitumen? Cutback bitumen means if you are going to add any soluble additive or any solvent to reduce the viscosity of the bitumen, then that particular bitumen is known as cutback bitumen. So usually bitumen will be hard in nature. So when the temperature is taken towards the bitumen, then only the bitumen is going to get softens. So when it softens, it is not complete a liquid, it is a viscous liquid. Okay, it is a viscous liquid. So as we are having different temperature across the different areas, so what happens, using the same one type of bitumen across all the regions makes the work handling process bit difficult. So using the same property or the same type of bitumen for all the temperature areas, it forms some difficulty in handling the bitumen. So only instead of changing the chemical property of the bitumen, the chemical property of the bitumen is kept standard. Okay, as it is an additive. So additive means some specific chemical property will be there as a additive, bitumen as a additive. So we are nowhere disturbing the chemical property of the bitumen. Some additive is added so that we can easily handle the bitumen across the various temperature. In order to handle the bitumen across the various temperature, based upon that we are going to add the different solvents. It may be diesel, it may be kerosene, it may be petrol. Okay, so if we are adding any additive to the bitumen or a solvent to the bitumen just to reduce or lower the viscosity value of the bitumen, then that particular bitumen is known as cutback bitumen. Then what do you mean by emulsion? Emulsion means it is in the liquid form. So additive what we are adding, it will be higher in amount. So after adding higher amount of additive or the solvent, bitumen, it will be first in the solid state. After heating it, it will become a viscous liquid. After adding much more solvent, it forms a liquid material. It forms a liquid material. So this liquid material can be used at the coldest temperature, and this emulsion or the liquid material, it is maximum it is used for repair works. So tack coat, prime coat, you can see before laying the bituminous material, a sprinkling or spraying of some black liquid is done. That is also known as tack coat and prime coat. They comes under bitumen emulsions. Bitumen emulsions. Okay. So preparation of road bitumen from petroleum, that I have explained a few minutes back. So crude oil, petroleum, first crude oil from the petroleum well, it is distilled. First it is stored in the field storage tank. Later it is transferred to the pumping unit. From the pumping unit, again the processing storage tank. From there it is transferred to the tube well. From there it is transferred to the distillation unit. From the distillation unit, across in that distillation unit, distillation process will takes place. After doing the distillation process, we are going to get petrol, kerosene, diesel as a byproduct. Okay, petrol, kerosene and diesel as the byproduct. These all three products are collected, and at last we are going to get some residue, remaining material, that is known as bitumen. So after getting this remaining product, that is a bitumen, so it is treated with some solvents, volatile solvents, then it becomes cutback bitumen. If you are taking that bitumen directly for the construction work, that is called as penetration grade bitumen. If you are adding any solvents, then that becomes cutback bitumen. Okay, so this is about the process or the preparation of bitumen. So if you are still adding any solvent to the cutback bitumen, then that will become, see here, that will become bituminous emulsion. Okay, if you are adding solution to directly to the penetration grade bitumen, that becomes penetration grade bitumen emulsion. So this is about preparation of bitumen. And last, we are having the requirements of bitumen. The desirable properties of bitumen depend upon the mix type and the construction. First one, mixing. Type of material used, construction method, temperature during mixing. Okay. Attainment of desired stability of mix. To maintain the stability under adverse weather condition. To maintain the sufficient flexibility and thus avoid cracking of the bituminous surface. And to have sufficient adhesion with aggregates in mix in presence of water. So for this type of works only, either we need to go for cutback bitumen or emulsion bitumen. So always the bitumen should be heated, aggregate should be heated, then they both should be added in presence of heat only. Then only it will become a very good bituminous material. So bitumen can easily bind on the or coat on the aggregates in presence of heat itself. Okay, that is called as hot mixing. Hot mix asphalt we are having, warm mix asphalt we are having. But now in a nowadays new trend, we are having cold mixing. Cold mixing means emulsions will be there, normal room temperature aggregates will be there, clean aggregates. Both the aggregates and the emulsions are added, it is going to form some bituminous mix. They are called as cold mix asphalt. What do you mean by hot mix asphalt? The bitumen and the aggregates are heated at the higher temperature. 170 degree will be the bituminous temperature, 160 degree will be the bituminous aggregate temperature, they are added. Whereas here in the warm mix asphalt, usually 150 degree will be the bituminous temperature, 140 degree will be the aggregate temperature, they both are added and they are mixed. That is called as warm mix asphalt. Only 10 to 15 degrees Celsius difference is there. Cold mix means normal emulsion is added with the normal room temperature aggregates and it is going to form some bituminous mix, that is called as cold mix asphalt. So like that we are having different bituminous mixes. So Friends, whatever we discussed in today's class, that comes under course outcome 3 with the Bloom level of taxonomy 3, 4, 5. That means in this class we are applying some knowledge, new concept, analyzing, and we are evaluating. Okay, so this is about today's class. Friends, in the next class we'll focus on the different tests on the bitumen. Okay, till then, thank you.